It's a pretty simple process. You build the deck, you play the deck, you hit top 100 with the deck, you post about it on Twitter, people seem to like it, you decide to make a video about it. So welcome to my video on Elder Darkness. Now, we're not going to sit here and pretend like I didn't obviously draw a massive amount of inspiration from Nora Elder, like this wasn't the starting point for this list, but I want to talk about sort of Elder Darkness in comparison to both Nora Elder Dragon and Darkness. It's an amalgamation of the two. So what problems is this list solving that I was having with the two archetypes that I combined into it? For starters, let me say that this list is to round out my tournament lineup. It's not supposed to be beating Morgana Elder Dragon. That's not what we're doing here. I want to play Seraphine in my tournament lineup, and so I'm already planning on banning Elder Morgana. So because that's a deck that can't really be doubled up on in a tournament lineup, we're not seeing a lot of like double Mage Seeker Jr., triple Mage Seeker Juniors. This is something that I value. Now, what we are seeing a little bit of more is aggro. People looking at the Morgana Elder and going, yeah, I can actually smork that down pretty successfully. And so we're seeing aggro have a good amount of tournament success in grassroots, but that's not necessarily indicative of how the Runeterra Open is going to go. We've seen aggro perform well leading up to Opens and then not really make it on the main stage, but getting ahead of myself. So, the problem that I have with Nora Elder that I wanted solved is the Burblefish Plaza Guardian package. This is powerful. I like this. This is one of my favorite things about Nora Elder. The problem is that I would have a lot of opening hands that's like one Nora, a broad main, and then one of these guys. And it just kind of felt like the game was already over before it began, especially if my Nora dies, right? Because then I'm just sitting on this card that I can't play for 5 turns, these cards that I can't play for 6 or 7 turns, and I'm not going to have the spell density in my opening hand in order to get there. So that was just like a huge pain point for me, and I'm like, nuts, what happens if I cut these? And the answer is Nora Elder without these doesn't look great. So I decided, let's cut this, try a new package, and because I'm cutting Wiggly Burblefish and Plaza Guardian, which even playing against this list, I've seen my opponents have to throw down like 4 mana Burblefish, 6 mana Plaza Guardians time and time again. It's just very unappealing to me. So if we cut these, then we get to cut Trinket Trade, because this is mostly used as a proactive way to get multiple spells in to reduce the cost of these guys. So if we don't have to facilitate this, then we don't have to play this, and that ups a lot of space. Early Bird fits the same bill in being a proactive spell. The difference is that Early Bird is actually a good card, so we kind of want to keep that in, but we'll get there. And then Portal Palooza is just another sort of proactive spell that you can play to reduce the cost of these, obviously synergizes with Nora, and in the original list that I had for Elder Darkness, I was still playing 2 copies of Nora, and I was still playing 3 copies of Portal Palooza. And what I realized pretty early on is that when Portal Palooza's, 5 mana effectively do nothing, and I'm constantly trying to hold up 3 mana for the darkness in order to, stop my opponent from developing into it or threaten things like this. And even in later stages of the game, a popular darkness line is like you hold darkness, right? And then you have Dark Bulb Acolyte second darkness. And that's an 8 mana play. And that's just not something that Portal Palooza is fitting into very cleanly. And a lot of times I just felt like I couldn't actually jam these Portal Paloozas. So I cut the card, kept in the Nora, and eventually Nora ended up getting cut from the list. I think on my Twitter list I was still playing Nora but not playing Portal Palooza. The list has been evolving, and that's one of the reasons I want to make a video about it. So that's why we're not playing Portal Palooza, we're not playing Nora. They didn't mesh as well with the darkness packages I kind of wanted, but Early Bird still very effective against Mordekaiser. And again, we're looking to mostly ban the Elder Dragon list in the tournament lineup, so the Early Bird is always going to be playing into Mordekaiser, because you're not really seeing Elder Mordekaiser in tournament, I would assume. Usually, if you're going to see Viego Mordekaiser, I imagine that's going to be Ionia, so that you can play Morgana Elder Dragon alongside it. So Early Bird just felt good. That's why it stayed in the deck. So that's the problems that I was looking to solve from Elder Nora. It's too top-heavy for me. The Wiggly Burblefish and the Plaza Guardians caused too many awkward hands for me, and I said, let me try something without this. So I've always been a big Darkness enjoyer. I've always been very public about that. I love Darkness. I think it's great. So the problem I have with Darkness is a lack of draw power. When you look at Shadow Isle Bandle City for things that draw cards, there's nothing that actually gains you card advantage. It's just a lot of card neutral things like Portal Palooza, like Ceaseless Sentry. Even Glimpse Beyond is like card neutral, but you also don't have like great Glimpse Beyond targets. You're not like Mordekaiser, So I was wondering, okay, yeah, how can I get some draw power? And that's sort of where like Sign Thousand Tailed comes in. This card feels incredible, especially if you can get Deathless down onto it. And the only thing that you're really losing from Shadow Isle is Senna and Desinata. And we've played Nora Vigar in the past, which proves that we can succeed as a Darkness deck without Senna, and I just don't feel like Desinata is really where I want to be at in this meta, especially if I can trade it for like Sign-In and Lord Broadmane. So that's felt really good. It's really that simple. That's kind of what you're getting out of Elder Darkness over traditional Darkness is just draw power. Because if you draw Senna and you draw Vigar and you draw your Twisted Catalyzers, then yeah, maybe you don't need draw power. Maybe that's all you need. But there are a lot of games where you don't draw those, and so having Sign-In as an option to sort of refill my hand has felt really good and is a reason that I haven't even really gone back to trying traditional Darkness in this meta. So being lower to the ground inherently, because you have all these 2-drops, makes you better into aggro. And I was talking earlier about how aggro has been performing pretty well in these grassroots tournaments, and so being good into aggro is something that I value. You could put Junk Construct back in your Elder Nora, but I don't think that's going to like solve the problems in as big a way as you want. But definitely the Nora lists have gotten kind of greedy, have moved away from like really worrying about aggro, kind of hoping that the group shots and the pie tosses are going to hold it down. But as you can see, they've even cut Drop the Bomb from the list. Out of every list that I've looked at has cut Drop the Bomb. So they're really not like playing into aggro, and you're kind of stuck in this weird position where you have to build for aggro or you have to build for control. And when you play something like Darkness, you are inherently better into aggro because of all the low drop utility units that fit into the Darkness package. And then obviously you have scaling. Now Vigar is pretty cool, and the reason that I wanted to like try this out is because I've been playing a lot of Seraphine, so I'm actually incredibly aware of how difficult it is for a lot of decks to kill a 1/4. Now, Vigar is a little bit more expensive, and obviously like doesn't have the protection that Seraphine does, which is kind of where Lightning Rush comes in. I don't remember what deck in the past main decked Lightning Rush, but I actually only had one copy in this originally, and it's felt really good. So I put in a second copy. It hasn't really been letting me down. Maybe I'll go back down to 1, but I definitely think this belongs in the main deck. And this is just sort of a leftover of when, Darkness was really popular. There was a lot of debate between Mist's Call as your Vigar protection and Transformation, which is the 4-mana one that bounces a unit, and then you can play a unit of the same cost for 0. So obviously they both had issues. The problem with Mist's Call was that if anything else died, then there wasn't a guarantee that you would revive Vigar. The problem with Transformation is that you couldn't play it on curve. It's 4 mana, so you had to wait until turn 5 to play your Vigar, and obviously this champion performs a lot better the earlier that you can get it down. And Transformation rotated. So we're not in Shadow Isle, so we can't even play Mist Call, but I've been very happy with Lightning Rush as just a pseudo tag out that might even remove a unit or just like shoot some damage on the Nexus in order to let my Vigar push through. Now, Early Bird, again, we're like expecting to play into Mordekaiser, so Early Bird's going to perform pretty well there. I don't really think these need any explanation. Lightning Rush kind of did. These not so much. Minimorph has been underperforming. I'm going to take a look at that one again, but it's really the only way in Bandle City to deal with Deathless. And even though I have Lord Broadmane, sometimes I look at a Deathless Rekindler or a Deathless Mordekaiser, and I'm like, okay, I do need to like do something about that. The only other card I would say that might look weird to you here is the one of Stilted Robemaker. I was originally on 2 copies of this card. Essentially, the conclusion that I've been coming to is like, if you're not running Senna, so you're not just shitting out 16 Darkness a turn, the cost of Darkness isn't as important. I was on 2 Roadmakers for a while, and I felt like there just wasn't that big of a difference between a 1-mana Darkness and a 2-mana Darkness when you're not running Senna. And the 3/4 body was unappealing. Something that I'm always looking for is card quality top decks in the late game. And I've always talked about how I hate 1-drops because a lot of times when you draw them in the late game, they're pretty useless. Whereas in Darkness, I think one of the things that always draws me to the deck is like, I'm not upset to draw a Dark Ball Backlight or a Conchologist in the late game. Even a Twisted Catalyzer, depending on my position, can help me get over a small hump or like force my opponent to commit resources into it. So Stilted Roadmaker definitely felt like one of the worst late game top decks that I had. So I do value getting down to a 2-mana Darkness. There is, I believe, a significant difference between a 2-mana Darkness and a 3-mana Darkness, but it's sort of an exponential fall off. Like 2-mana Darkness is like, okay, let me put it this way. 3-mana Darkness is like a 2 out of 10, right? And then 2-mana Darkness is like a 7 out of 10, but then 1-mana Darkness is only like an 8 out of 10. Does that make sense? Just in terms of like, 2 mana feels significantly better than 3 mana. 1 mana feels a little bit better than 2 mana. That's how my brain works. Little insight. But I definitely felt like, yeah, I can keep in 1 copy of this card. If I see it, I see it. If I don't, I don't. My deck isn't reliant upon getting reduced cost Darknesses. And then these are just obviously like some of the best cards that you can be running for the Elder Dragon region. Sign in, giving that draw power that Darkness lacks. Lord Broadmane makes it so that if you haven't scaled your Darknesses successfully, then you can still chop down these big units. On top of the fact that, like, you are not running Vengeance because you are not Shadow Isle, so you do need something to facilitate taking down these large mid-range units. And Ishtali Sentinel is just a very good card. Everybody's always known it's one of the best cards in Darkness, so now getting it with a boon is really insane. And honestly, you're just kind of looking for the Deathless keyword over and over again if you can. It's ideal onto all of these units, either Ishtali Sentinel getting you like that double burn and that double darkness, Lord Broadmane just inherently protecting itself, Sign giving you those additional draws. The one thing I've definitely been struggling with is like Shyvana Elder Dragon, where it's like, I get Mountain Draked on and they give that Deathless, and it's like, oh shit, how do I deal with that? I didn't draw Mini-Morph, and it's or like there's a higher priority Mini-Morph target like the Shyvana or something that I just like need to get off the board immediately. But yeah, it's I'm not sitting here telling you that this is a tier 1 deck. It's not. But I do think that there are issues that I have with Elder Nora that this solves. I'm still iterating upon the list. I'm still searching. I'm not even, like, at the moment, if I were going to play in the open, I'd plan on taking Elder Darkness. That might even change over the course of the week, but I just wanted to introduce a new concept, right? I'm not telling you to go take this to ladder. You're not going to climb a bunch of LP. I actually went on a big loss streak last night. I went from about 450 LP down to, I think I managed to climb back up to like 350 before going to bed. But yeah, it's been pretty swingy for me. But I've been really enjoying the list. And like, if you are a Darkness enjoyer and you're looking to get that fix and Darkness hasn't been doing it for you, then I would heavily encourage you to try this out. But again, you are not beating Elder Morgana. And so this is more for tournament. But that is that. Okay, yeah, I don't play super well on camera, but we're gonna do a deck profile and then gameplay like a real YouTuber, like a Majin Bay. Shit. I regret this immediately. Like I've said, this is not... I don't really recommend playing this on ladder. Unless you're just playing for enjoyment, right? Like, I don't... My rank on ladder doesn't matter. I'm not shooting for Runeterra points, right? Proto Pioneer's like, okay, but... Broadmane's a fine keep. Pytos, you actually usually get some, like, cheeky interactions with, like, taking out a Petricite Charger. Okay, Early Bird's kind of good, because honestly, a lot of times this matchup feels kind of winnable until the Galio comes down. I'll take that out immediately, if I'm being honest. I'm okay with that. Maybe I could have waited on this and see if they try to protect this later on, but... honestly, I'm down to just kill a Fleet Feather Tracker. No! Well, I guess if I hadn't Pytossed, then they still would have just, like... This is where they would challenge me and just get 2 free damage in. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the Pytoss turn 1 then, because they have token on 2, so like... I either get to develop a blocker or take out the Fleet Feather, so like I would have taken 2 extra free damage. Holy shit. Okay, they don't have a great hand. I assume this means we're getting suppressed next turn, which, like, doesn't really matter, because Catalyzer trades with Inquisitor. Condense isn't the best top deck, but it's not the worst. Let's chuck that. And if they want to use, like, Shield of Durand or something to protect this, then Broadmane will just chop it down a little bit later on. Oh, you're gonna... Oh, okay. I thought they were, like, proactively gentlemen's dueling. This is fine, though. They get 1 turn of development before we throw down a guide. But even if I had something here, I'd kind of be expecting them to Morgana me, so, like, I'd probably just end up passing anyway. Okay. Okay, so if I throw down Broadmane next turn, and they Gentleman's Duel here onto Broadmane, Group Shot doesn't kill it. If I Perilous Pastry this now, then it does. If I Perilous Pastry this now, then they actually don't have a way to kill Broadmane next turn. Unless they play, like a Petricite Charger here. And that's sort of been the other big pain point, is like, you don't deal with Petricite Charger particularly effectively, right? You're a spell damage-based deck. what you got. Okay. Sure. I will still take aim at this because I assume you want to use this in response to kill the Broadmain, and then I just have group shot. And if you don't do that, then next turn I just like play second Broadmain here. Yeah, this is all according to plan so far. Okay. I have first action next round, so I can wait on the early bird. But we are going to open the turn with early bird. Just to see if we can hit the Galio. Because a Deathless Galio is so annoying to deal with. Okay, we hit the Elder Dragon. Not ideal, but... Ugh. Deathless Sign-In is such a pain in the ass, dude. Do I want to second Broadmain to take out the Fleet Feather? I don't think I do. I think I just want to sign in myself and see if we can hit Deathless. We can't hit Deathless. I'll just take Fearsome. Mostly because... with the Dragon Boons, honestly, a lot of the time it's not... It feels like it's not as much about what I want. Do I just kill this and give them cards? Ugh. I hate Deathless Sign-In so much. Like, I feel like I'm not supposed to attack and give them 2 free cards. But eventually I have to kill this, right? So for me, when I'm looking at boons, it's almost less about what I want in that moment and more about what I want to save for later. Okay, I guess their hand just sucks. Well, we beat the #1 deck, so that's going in the video. I don't care how scuffed it was. Let's see if we can get a game where the darkness portion of the deck matters at all. Like, yeah, the catalyzers came up there, but for the most part, that was just Broadmain. And that's why Broadmain's in the deck, right? He's very good into the Demacia piles. And I'm unsure, like, Broadmain's obviously very good into Demacia, but Demacia is really only played with, like, Elder Dragon right now. I'm trying to think of, like, a non-Elder Dragon Demacia list. Like, you could probably just play Formidables without Elder Dragon and be fine. Especially for, like, a tournament setting, right? Because maybe you do want to commit your Elder Dragon elsewhere. But I do think, like, Elder Dragon is best paired with Demacia right now. But if you're like, hey, you know, if I bring this Morgana Elder, it's just going to get banned every time. I'd rather, like, have Morgana Mordekaiser and then, like, you know, an Elder Dragon Demacia list. Like, I think that's understandable. What is this? Elusives. We're not bad into elusives. We're not great into elusives. Maybe I should have shipped the Portal Pioneer too, actually. We're gonna take some non-elusive damage. Aha, and suddenly the Portal Pioneer is a phenomenal keep. We'll do this, though. So that we can Darkness and Group Shot. Oh, shit. Surely this means they'll develop an elusive next turn, though, right? And I'll have time to get down my Portal Pioneer. This is all going disastrously so far. Please don't open attack. I take it back. You could open attack. And this didn't eat the second chime, so there's another thing in hand that is chimed up, which makes me think it's fine to use the Pie Toss here. Because I need to start playing aggressively with Dark Bulb Acolyte. I don't think I need to do this now. You have Mini Morph to get the elusive off of this, but like it doesn't deal with the uni on it. That'll be a Broadmain issue for later on. They might be going heal to play around Broadmain, which is annoying. I almost... Can I just Mini Morph this now? Is that what we do? My other options... Early Bird, Pastry doesn't really set... I could, like, early bird and blunder. I think I like early bird blunder. And they probably just don't attack with this, but, you know. That still delays the Yuumi then. And if they do attack with this, then, like, I will block and I will broadmane it next turn. I think I just darkness that. Oh shit, they went for it. Okay. Okay. That's really not good for me. I think I actually have to go, like, yeah, condense, get this here. And this is actually really nice for me. They discard. Okay. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. That's the win condition, potentially. Unfortunately, Yuumi is still going to just, like, be a consistent issue, but... yeah, we can go Challenger. Stop them from throwing down other elusive threats. Because, like, they can Yuumi here, and then maybe they throw down, like, something else. But once they Yuumi here, I'm not attacking with this anyway. Okay, I'm attacking that. There's no shot they're blowbacking. They wouldn't discard Yuumi. Maybe they'll blow back later when, like, they'll attach Yuumi, draw a card, blow back when I try to, like, kill something. Maybe that's the plan. Okay, no Yuumi attached yet. No Yuumi attached at all. That... ugh. Seven's not a low number. But... what am I doing then? Am I developing second broadmane? Am I playing Sign-In? This is one of the more awkward parts of the deck, is like you kind of get to this part where it's like you're out of spell mana because you darknessed once, and then you're trying to figure out if you have to play a 6-drop or darkness something. It happens. It's one of the bigger pain points for the deck. I'm still trying to find a solution. But if I don't block, then I can darkness this. Or not block, rather, but like wallop. If I do wallop, then like I'm basically just banking spell mana into the next turn. I think we just take this and sign in. Because if we can draw an Ishtali Sentinel, then... okay, we didn't draw Ishtali Sentinel. And we don't quite have mana for Darkness, Vigard, Darkness. But we do still have Wallop. And we do still have Minimorph. So I think first things first, we're going to darkness this. We do still have a Challenger Broadmane. So we can play Vigar. Right, I'm not taking anything. I'm not taking myself off anything by Vigaring, because the plan is like Minimorph later on. But I do want to get the damage on this scaling a little bit, so that, like, now that they're out of chimed cards... I swear they still have one chimed guy in hand. Right? Because it was... they played 2 Beards. One went onto the Acorn. Where did the second... the second one we haven't seen yet, right? Because it didn't go onto Yuumi. Oh, it went onto the Kelp Maidens. Okay. Yeah, we just end around here, hold up the Challenger Broadmane, stop them from developing. Now we have a 3 damage Darkness, which is going to be much more efficient at, like, taking out whatever they play. I'll just throw a pastry at that. If they play a buff spell here, we still have group shot to take it out. And then wallop to take this out. Actually, I might even mini morph it and then block with Sign-In. And that traps the Yuumi. Well, we can darkness here. They're like really low on cards, so. And if they prank the mini morph, we still have the wallop. And even if they prank the wallop, we still have like group shot wallop. Just in case. It's fine. Thank you. I would like to draw more cards. I would really love to get above 7 HP. I know, like, I'm probably fine at 7. Okay. That went pretty well. That went pretty well. So that was Elder Darkness. Like I said, not a tier 1 ladder deck by any means, but definitely something to just try out and give a little bit of consideration as you're just looking for something different to climb with. I know it's just like, you know, it's just a variation of Elder Nora. It's just another Elder Dragon deck. But, you know, if you like control your Elder Dragon list, then at least this is like something new for you to try. But that has been me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you next time. Actually, I'll see you for Tournament Tactician later this week for the Fates Voyage Beyond Runeterra Open.